Welcome to Busted Speakers. I'm Kush,
And I'm Alex.
and today we're going to be reviewing Have Mercy, Make the Best of It. So Have Mercy are a 2000s emo band, and personally, I am a big fan of emo music. Maybe that's because I'm still like a edgy teenager at heart, but uh, but I don't know. I've always been a fan. Like bands like, I guess La Dispute doesn't really count, but La Dispute, Touche Amore, Piano Become the Teeth, just some really good emo bands out there. Have Mercy, now I forgot they existed, and then Alex is like, "Oh, this album's coming out," and they made the song "Let's Talk About Your Hair," and then I think it's currently my most played song on Last FM because I just
Really?
I finally. Yeah, because I you said it, and I'm like, holy shit, I forgot the song existed, and I kept listening to it over and over, because that is a really interesting song. It has the lyrics are very, very, very good, in terms of just like, they're not very generic, they're not like the cheesy emo, like, oh, I love you, why don't you love me back? Like, they take something so small, like talking about your hair, and put so much more meaning behind it, as in like how much time has passed between them. And that song had just so many aspects of a good emo song.
It had such a dark, since we're talking about that, it has such a dark kind of atmosphere, but kind of hopeful, and it's such a unique atmosphere. I've never heard an atmosphere like that in a song.
Yes, I would agree.
Maybe it's because I've
completely.
got a limited experience with emo, although I did find more general atmosphere like that on this album. I'd say it's one of the best emo songs I've ever heard. Maybe just one of the best ever this decade, if we're talking in a wider sense of music, like all genres. And their debut album
I
had
think
more nice songs on it. I missed their second, but here they are back with a third, and I was hope they come close to capturing what a beautiful song that was.
They do on some tracks. On other tracks, they kind of went more indie rock. Like, they're not as emo anymore in some songs, more alternative, I guess.
Yeah.
But and a lot of these songs, they don't have that same strong lyricism that they had on their older stuff. This is probably their most emo, cheesy, pandering album with lyrics, because, oh guys, some of these are so generic and bad lyrics, but there are also some kind of decent lyrics on some of the later songs on here.
So do you think he was not over-exaggerating, not taking liberties, but do you think he was overstating things with how dramatic this sounds? Like, do you think he doesn't have as much of an urge, a necessity to say these things as he makes it sound like, in a way?
Yeah, I would say that, but also I think another problem is that this album wasn't as hard as that song was, because that song, Let's Talk About Your Hair, or in the previous work in general, was very hard, very wrenching, and very emotional music.
I don't
This
know,
didn't
I
have
still
that.
think there was at least 3-4 songs that came really close, and even then, I thought every song on here was really good. Other than
Yeah,
Begging for Bones, I'd say maybe, I don't know, maybe that one's a little bit too weird for me, but I still thought it was
I actually
pretty
like
good.
Begging for Bones. I thought that was pretty good. Begging for Bones, I thought was one of my favorites on here. I hated the song Baby Grand.
Why? No!
That was such emo cheese.
So you thought the
But like,
lines in the chorus that were like, give me one more night and I promise, give me one more night and I'm sure, give me one more night in a different light, I could wake up next to her. Okay, I could see that being sort of emo cheese, okay. But it does feel like music for an angsty teenager, which I am not anymore. Well, I'm still a teenager, technically, but I was never that angry, so I was never the target market for emo. I was quite a placid, nice guy. I don't know. Well, I'm not saying angsty teenagers aren't nice, but the emotional weight of the words that Brian Swindle, I think, says really connects to me more than anything I was listening to when I was 16. Kind of. Maybe I'm a late bloomer to emo, which means I'll be a very unapproachable, like, 21-year-old, but yeah. I thought Baby Grand was good. It was mellow, had some nice hard-hitting, crunchy guitars. And yeah, I like the way the chorus is structured.
Yeah, this album was pretty. I want to say a pretty solid indie rock, alternative rock, emo record. Not the best I've ever heard. It's nothing too like it's nothing super amazing, but they had some good tracks on here. The song Reaper was really cool because like he starts off talking about like why is this girl still with this guy who treats her terribly, and he's kind of like the fallback, or the girl always run to him when the other guy treats her bad. And then the second verse is like he cuts the brakes on the guy's Camaro, and then it kills him, and it got really, really dark. And then like as the song builds towards the end, there's this just him just gut-wrenchingly screaming on the latter half of that second verse, which was unbelievable. I thought he still, that's where I saw that he still had that thing, emo going inside of him, even though they kind of toned down a lot of the songs on this record.
This is the angriest song on the album, definitely, and it just goes to so many extremes. Like, the same way he says I never knew his Reaper, never knew I was the Reaper, or whatever. Sounds like he knew the guy before he killed him, obviously, and I don't know, this is such a weird dynamic of a relationship. It doesn't seem fully realistic, but it's interesting to listen to, I'd say.
The only like other song that just really turned me off was the song Ghost.
Yeah. I like
song,
that.
It was a standard slow song, which a lot of emo records do have to break up the monotony of the screams. But it was a bit creepy. Like he's scared of losing the girl, so he wants her to haunt him as she's dead, and then so no one can take her away as a ghost.
I feel like
get
there's
the sentiment behind
some metaphor behind that, at least.
No, I get the sentiment behind it. It just, he worded it really weird to the point where he sounded like a necrophiliac kind of, and it's just a little bad.
Okay, well, we're not going to defame Brian with that, but
oh no, it was just a bit awkward to listen to, especially with the way he said it, and he had some like really strong emotions on this. I was like, oh, this is a bit odd.
I feel like that just goes to show his imagery is quite strong still.
Yeah, for sure.
The last two songs were probably my favourite. Good Christian Man. The drumming and guitar groove they lock into is basically unbeatable. So much vocal power, probably the most on the album, and this feels like a song to himself or something, like self-cleansing himself or something via religion. I'm not going to say it's the most powerful song they've ever done, but it's really good, and I don't know how you feel about flat lines in music, but the guitar kind of flatlined at the end, which was kind of a cool way to end it.
Yeah, so I said that this is the one song that felt very like specific and direct to some person or some event. Everything else felt kind of like more open-ended. It could apply to many different situations. This song, I felt like he was talking to someone about how he rejects religion and people don't treat him the same way, and they reject him because of that, and they don't accept him for the way he is, or it's not something he wants to do. But people are still forcing it upon him, and the lyrics feel super real and not like some overbearing, just general catch-all lyrics that could work for many situations. This is like very targeted, and that probably means it's something that happened in his life or something that happened to him specifically.
Yeah, I agree. And You Made Me. I'd say this is the song that gives me the vibe of Let's Talk About Your Hair the most on the album. Not saying that's a be-all, end-all of it being a favourite, but, you know, it kind of is. And I honestly still can't get over how powerful and dramatic his vocals are. Maybe a bit over the top, but I'd say there are no boring or bad songs or choruses on this album because of this. Plus, I'd say You Made Me had it's such a simple lyric, but I think he has the most powerful lyric on the album on here. We'll spend all our time alone, because it hints that he sees them as one person. Because you can't we'll spend all our time alone. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but that felt really strong, as if the relationship is quite strong. And that had further bearing on, which makes lines like, I hear you calling from another state, really powerful. I don't know, I just found a lot of this really beautiful and powerful, in general.
Yeah. The chorus in that song was actually really, really, really powerful to me, at least. And it was probably like you said, the closest to their older work as they got on this album. There's a couple other songs that were kind of more forgettable. Like the first three songs were very, very forgettable songs: Smoke and Lace, Drive, and Coexist.
I don't know. I thought they were pretty.
I
still thought they were really good though. Like, yes, they're not the most memorable, but great. I can't stress how good the bands sound and how great the vocalist is at generating power
Yeah.
in the choruses. Like, that's enough, even if the songs aren't the best, of just making them really special.
I don't know. I don't agree with that completely because I feel like these were just some more like washed down, trying to be emo songs, but they're kind of washed out and very standard. They weren't bad. They're very pleasant songs. It was just not what I was looking for in an emo album.
Maybe I need to, learn more what emo is. I don't know. I just
I don't know.
personally found this
People
really
people like
strong.
different things.
Yeah. I think we still both quite like this album, though.
No, I do enjoy it, but it's not their best work and it's not the best emo work I've heard. So
Yeah.
there are a lot of good things about this album and about this band in general. I'm just looking forward to something that's just more gut-wrenching, more powerful in terms of just as a full album composition, because this was good. And I feel like they have a lot of good concepts going for them and a lot of good aspects to it. It's just this didn't have everything I needed.
Yeah, well, not most albums don't, though.
So what would you rate this album, Alex?
Well, I feel like I've been pretty positive during this review. Liked it. So my score may surprise you, but I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. What a great
Ooh.
album! What a great experience!
That's good.
Yeah, it's a great album. Really passionate and emotional. And it's actually very likeable and enjoyable if you let it sink in. I really do feel like he has a lot of raw emotion in his voice. And yes, he's very flawed. He's not the pitch-perfect vocalist, but I find it very easy to ignore and allowable just because of his emotion. It's amazing how far that can get people. So, the last line I wrote in my notes was, emo convert is me. but that's not grammatically correct, or strictly true if this isn't true emo. But I feel like this is a nice stepping stone to get me there.
Yeah, so for me, this is a 6 out of 10. Which is still a decent record. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
not
still
the
a good
worst thing I've
score.
ever heard.
I'm
It's
just,
still a pretty
I'm
good
just
score.
mimicking some commenters who'll think that'll be a not good enough score.
I just feel like the only problem with this record is that it doesn't go far enough. Like I think they play it pretty safe on a lot of these songs, just making standard indie emo music.
Yeah.
I feel like they have it in them to go further, but they just don't do it. But this is a good sign, because I feel like if this is their safe game and it's already this good, then if they go and try to experiment a little bit more, they go a little bit and reach for a little bit more on this albums, it's gonna be much better than this, which is something I'm looking forward to.
I'd say this is about equal to their debut that Earth pushed back. Just about. It doesn't obviously have a song as good as Let's Talk About Your Hair, but it's generally speaking, I'd put them on the same level.
Well, if that's it, then thanks for tuning in to Busted Speakers. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you want, then make sure you like and subscribe. We'd appreciate it. And check us out on social media.